Top of the morning folks, today from the Reddit Rainforest. Redditors that pursued their dream careers instead of taking the safe route. How did it turn out? Better than I expected. Back in high school, I had good grades. I could have studied in medicine or engineering. But what I wanted was to study in fundamental sciences or in environment. I studied in biology, specialized in ecology, then in forest ecology in grad school. My grad school was very long ... and I was sure that I would never find a job ... I eventually completed my PhD, then found a work in forest science in a small college research center. I'm very pleased with my job. I found the love of my life during grad school. I'm living in a small and quiet town. Even if I make about 1/10 of the salary of a medicine doctor, I do not regret any of my choices. I left my undergrad program hellbent on pursuing my dream of being a screenwriter/TV writer. I spent a full 10 years falling behind peers who took the safe route. They got practical advanced degrees, started families, made decent money, bought houses. I took a decade worth of malarkey day jobs that allowed me the maximum possible time to write. Doubted myself every day. Woke up at age 30 broke as malarkey, a million miles away from anything resembling an entertainment industry or writing career, with even my most supportive family members starting to wonder out loud when I was gonna give this stupid fantasy up, act like an adult, and get a real job. At 36 I got my first Emmy nomination. It was a long ass road, but it led to the only life I ever wanted to lead. I can provide some perspective here. I was on the East Coast working a dead-end job. Very depressed. I moved to Los Angeles 5 years ago to pursue ... drumroll please ... acting. I still work a day job and make much more than I did in my dead-end job and am 1000x happier, and I get to go on auditions and every once in a while get to do a show or commercial. Not the dream outcome, but my quality of life improved in ways I never could have imagined. Fellow actor here. Oh man, so nice to hear some more positive stories about pursuing the craft ... though sometimes it's more labor than art. Gotta say, good job following a path to a happier life. I pursued acting first and foremost, but had to move cities before I actually got any shows, commercials, or plays. Heard a lot of it will be harder over there, and you know it would not be easier, right? It almost makes me mad because it is so much easier. It is way better for me to actually act on top of any other job and make less than to make a bit more money to be acting adjacent as a stage manager or theater admin staff. I wanna slap a lot of faces for doubting me, including myself. I went to art school. I learned how to art. I learned that knowing how to art had nothing to do with succeeding at art. Basically, there's always someone better, and people make art regardless of what it pays anyway. You cannot beat free, and there's a lot of free art out there. To charge good money for your work, you have to be more than just an artist in some capacity. You really have to be lucky, well connected, a great salesperson, or truly be one of the most talented people in the world to really make it. I spent the better part of a decade practicing my craft and selling a piece here and there while I worked in sales, construction, family photography, retail. Then I went back to school for accounting. Now I'm a happy accountant who makes art as a hobby. Got tired of having to do stupid classes for the small stuff you'd never remember in the real world with community college. They require it, so they make something of funds. Ended up going back to serving and bartending because I enjoy the activity and the creativity to revamp a cocktail to something new. Got awarded my first Mixologist of the Region award. I kinda did the opposite. All through high school, I wanted to be a computer programmer. I went to a magnet high school for it, but after only 2 semesters of college, I was faced with either massive student loans ... or doing like my best friend, joining the Navy, and then using the GI Bill so I could afford it. No problem, I thought. 4 years Aaron, not that big a deal. 22 years later, I did a full career in the Navy, retired, and now fix airplanes for a living and love my work. Well, mostly, I get paid pretty darn well, and hopefully next year after my house finally gets built, I can use that GI Bill to finish off my BS. Part-time. Had I pursued my dream job I likely would have been unemployed several times and still be paying off my student loans. I had a big scholarship to one of the best architecture schools in Europe. Gave it up because I was not happy, and I knew more than anything else I wanted to be an artist. 7 years of poverty and misery and hard duck and grind later I finally work full-time as a concept artist in a AAA games studio. Watching the world pass you by as you strive for something hard can be difficult and demoralizing. I was one of those gifted kids at school, so everyone was very sad to watch me throw my life away like this. Being a disappointment sucks. Constantly having to justify your choice to yourself and your family sucks. Existing in a moldy apartment sucks. Choosing between eating or heating sucks. Going to sleep starving hungry for 3 nights in a row and missing your rent because an art client has ducking ghosted you after you turned in the work. That sucks, man. And when that happens again and again and again knowing that at any time you could just walk outside and get a malarkey minimum wage job that actually pays you instead of freelance clients who do not and that you have no one to blame for your situation but yourself, really ducking sucks. But now I'm in my dream job. I have finally broken in. And honestly, I can say every second of doubt and misery was worth it because I feel so happy and validated and content with my life. I cannot even envision a life where I did not make this choice. Worked out perfect for me. It turns out my dream career was not what I thought it was, but it led me to my current job, which I love, pays well and gives me plenty of time off for shenanigans. Plus, I would not die wondering. You never know what could happen. If you don't mind me asking, what is your career? I'm an air traffic controller. Always wanted to be a pilot growing up. I work a dream job making props and sets for film and theater. There's no job security, and while I make decent money, it's going to be hard to save up for a house and start a family. Everything's freelance with no PTO or other benefits. But I'm never bored. I never wake up dreading going to work. I never watch the clock. I do not have to pretend to be some sanitized, formal version of myself. I use every one of my faculties at my job. I work with fascinating, passionate people who I admire. My job fuels me, rather than draining me. It was very scary to pursue, and I had to advocate for myself hard to get to a point where I could make a living at it. There were low points, but I'm on the right path for me, and it was worth it 1,000 times over. No high school degree. I was always fascinated by computer science and specifically programming. Always had that as a hobby every now and then. Did not thought much, because I felt I was quite bad at it, and I only liked to make video games. In Italy there is no high demand for video game programmers. After countless malarkey job malarkey pay unemployment cycles at the age of 35, I told myself duck this malarkey. I'll stay unemployed, or I will find a decent job doing what I like. Few ups and down. Now I'm 40 years old working a very good VR/R studio in UK as a senior engineer. So not bad. The safe route always remind me a quote by Bill Burr. Realize that sleeping on a futon when you're 30 is not the worst thing. You know what's worse? Sleeping in a king bed next to a wife you're not really in love with, but for some reason you married, and you got a couple kids, and you got a job you hate. You'll be laying there fantasizing about sleeping on a futon. There's no risk when you go after a dream. There's a tremendous amount to risk to playing it safe. As for my story, I skipped the safe route of going into it to instead do something artistic, since that's what I have always wanted to do. I figured, if I force myself to get a degree in something creative, I'll have to force myself to do it. It worked. Soon after that decision, I picked up photography, and I have been getting great jobs thanks to that skill, along with graphic design as well, ever since. Now that I have been doing it for over 10 years, I sometimes think about stopping. I remember a time when I did not have a creative job, and I was always fired up to do creative projects after work. Now by the time I'm done with work, I'm creatively exhausted and never have the energy to work on my own projects. Do I regret chasing my dream? Of course not. Without chasing it, my creative careers would not have sharpened my creative skills to the level I'm now. But now that I'm at this level, I really want to work on my own personal projects, and am trying to find the energy, discipline, or time to do it. I'm still trying to pursue mine to become a famous singer. I don't play an instrument. Never been able to. Just doing cover songs right now. But my goodness, I love singing. I tried for XF twice, The Voice 3 times, and BGT 3 times. I have been told by numerous producers that I will never get anywhere in life, and that I will never succeed. I'm 27. I just entered a competition called The Breakthrough, and my application has been accepted. The winner gets their own app made, a music video shoot, a photo shoot, and public advertising. All for free. I have a Reddit channel if anyone interested. Should run the multi-million-dollar company of my dad. Had no interests in the company. Changed in college from economy to geography and renewable energies. Dad was not pleased, but I kept going my way without financial backing. Worked hard in a company that plans and builds photovoltaic power plants and wind farms. Made my Master of Science and work still in that energy company. Salary is quite good. I love my job, but my brother, who runs the company of my dad, makes 10 times my salary and is the favorite child. I do not give a duck about that, because I'm glad I decided against the security of a boring job. I do something that may change the world to a better place and am not the one who has to keep a company working, especially now. Sorry for my bad English, is only my third language. I started on the safe route. I got a degree in chemistry and went to work as a high school science teacher. Eventually my reality had become mundane and I wanted something better. So I started shooting for the stars, hoping that I would at least land on the moon. I applied to new positions that looked interesting, even if I was not qualified. I eventually got a position as a software consultant for asset management firms. It was fun, but I had a taste of the excitement of trying to do better, and so I tried to start my own video production company, but this ultimately failed and left me in tons of debt. So with my new experience gained and a desperate need to pay everything off, I took a teaching job in Taiwan. Coming from South Africa, the pay is great here and cost of living much less. I'm still teaching in Taiwan, but I have already started to look at my next big shot I want to take. In this wild ride that is my life, I have learned so much more than by just being complacent. I have had opportunities that I would never have dreamed of before. Not everything has gone well, and I doubt everything will go well in the future. But sometimes things do go well, and through it all I feel that I have become a better person who is happy with the adventure I seek. I wanted to move to the mountains and ski/snowboard. I became one of our only private instructors in their 20s. Then took a job as the head coach of a free ski program, which is about the coolest job in skiing. I have a few different options to further my career, but keeping the passion and focus is becoming grueling. Living in the mountains, while amazing, is hard. Sometimes I wish I had a normal job and saved the skiing for the weekends. Usually I'm recharged by the end of summer though. It's been worth it. It's a good life. Worked out. I was delivering pizza. Decided I'd rather make cartoons. Went back to school. One of those malarkey for-profit art institutes for animation. That was about 10 years ago. Since then I have worked on a few TV shows for Laker Films and am currently designing from home on a Stop Emo Guillermo del Toro movie. I got into martial arts in college and fell in love with it. After graduating, I joined the studio and spent so much time there. The owner offered me a job. At the time, I was teaching part-time at a test prep center and decided to quit to follow my passion and work full-time teaching martial arts. The first 5 years or so were great. Even though I was getting paid like an intern and working 6 days a week, I genuinely loved what I was doing and looked forward to going to work. Fast forward a few years and my salary situation had not improved much, and am teaching the majority of the classes. Some days, 7 classes a day, which was exhausting, and I no longer enjoyed my job. I stayed for almost 13 years because of sunken cost fallacy. And I did not really know what else I wanted to do. I was not making a lot, especially for a high cost of living city like New York City, but I lived frugally and was able to save a little each month, so I got into a comfort zone. One day I found out about licensed customs brokers, on Reddit actually, and I thought it was not only the safe route, but also really practical, since it dealt in importing/exporting. I quit working at the martial arts studio and pretty much banked my future on getting the license. I studied my ass off and passed the license exam on my first attempt and was hired a few months later. The job can get stressful and repetitive sometimes, but I'm making more than I did in an entry-level position than I did in more than 10 years of working at the martial arts studio. 4 years. I only had some days off, and for the first few months, having full weekends off felt like a mini vacation. I really wish following my passion could have worked out financially, but the reality is, if you're gonna follow your dream, you better be prepared to be broke for a long time. Unfortunately, that is all there is for this video, but do not worry, there are many more coming. Like and subscribe for more videos from the Reddit Rainforest. Thanks for watching.